Hey, what's good, everybody? My name is Alckemy. Welcome to the channel. Today, we're going to be talking about my top 5 favorite plugins, to which, if you know who I am and you know this channel, most of this stuff is going to be no surprise to you. But if you're brand new and you're looking for, your latest and greatest and whatever, or you're just seeing what's out there, then this might be the channel for you. I'm somebody that does a lot of sound design. I'm really big into bass design, kind of like this. And we do lots of cool experimentation and things with, you know, all things related to sounds. I am a content creator, but I also do like to stay informed with what's coming out and whatnot. But as far as what goes into my music production, and I'm going to explain why, these are the top 5 plugins that I would take with me on a desert island, assuming that I'm lucky enough to have a laptop. I will also say that as Bitwig continues to update, I'm using more and more of the things that are built in and building devices that are strictly within the realm of Bitwig in itself. But even still, I would not want to do music production without these tools. So if that seems interesting, stick around. Let's go ahead and talk about the first one, which is Faceplant. This is, in my opinion, the best synth on the market. Fight me. No questions asked. The modularity behind it, semi-modularity behind it, the amazing suite of tools, and this is assuming that you get the full suite version of having all of these different tools and this means of access. The workflow behind this is so simple. You make a sound, add some effects, modulate it here. You can create racks with multipass, whether you want to do frequency splitting that has the exact same workflow, save it as a rack, add a mix to it, modulate the mix to it, or you can also do parallel signals, kind of like so, to where these can also be used in effects chains on or outside of your DAW. So if I have something like this, I can go multipass and pull that same chain up as I was using on that other thing right here. It's insane. This thing is the best thing to happen to music in the last, I don't know, but I do not want to ever produce without this thing. As much as I get tired of looking at it, it's just too good. Having access to spectral effects, also being able to do things like this with the EQ, to where you can modulate the different points. If you just hit the button, it tells you where your routing is going. Yeah, it's just incredible. This is the only synth that I can do stuff like this in a matter of minutes and also have the same kind of quality. You can also build devices with different items, kind of like an OTT style of things, and it just keeps on giving back, and it's only getting better in the future. Definitely the only synth that I would ever be like, if I had to pick one, Faceplant would be it. The second thing is Fuse Compressor. This thing is one of my favorite OTTs because of the transparency that it has, but also because of the soft clip that it has built on the outside. And almost every device from Minimal Audio has the same, actually, no, every device that I know of has the same feature. But with the 6 bands and all that stuff, it just sounds so good and is very easy to use. 100% would recommend over any other OTT that I've ever messed with. Now, Beam is interesting because this would be my cheat sheet for a glitch plugin. Now, I will say that I have made content for both Beam and Faceplant and some of these other things, so, take everything with a grain of salt. But Beam is just your one-stop shop to so many creative devices like convolution reverb, granular effects. This is a time mangler, kind of like if you've ever used things like Halftime, or what's the other one that's also in Cable Guys that does like the time remapping or whatever. But it's super easy to use. It provides 3 LFOs now. It's got an envelope follower and building racks on this. But the other cool thing about this is that you can just hit randomize and this will make a brand new patch for you every time. None of these are within the library. They're freshly made patches. Whether or not they sound good is something totally different. But as a means of making crazy, weird things, I don't really know what this is going to sound like, but just tons of really cool stuff. And it's going to depend on what you put through it because it's an effect. But as a means of having something to mangle sounds with and all of that, especially for melodics and pads and whatnot, Beam has just been the easiest choice for me to recommend to people, which you can also make tons and tons of really crazy glitch things inside of Faceplant as well. For example, I have these things called generators, like a doomsday generator, where you can just make degenerate generators. Kind of like so. But the cool thing is that this takes a little bit of time to develop, where Beam can actually get a similar result without having to do anything. You just hit the button and there you go. So the last two are the Pro Q4. This was buy once, cry once type of deal because of how expensive it was and I had to pay full price for it. Sorry, excuse me, for the upgrade from Pro Q3. But I like this thing a lot, mostly just because of the interface and because of how easy it is on the computer. If you are somebody that's really serious about music production, having a good EQ that is more so for mixing and not a color EQ, because if I'm trying to use um, band boosting and stuff, I'll actually just use the EQ8 within Bitwig. But for just mixing and general things like this, it's just hard to beat, especially with how easy and how many bands you can have. It has the dynamic thing. I almost never use the spectral processing on it, to be honest, but I do use the dynamic control that has an attack and release decay now. One thing that I will say is there is a runner up that I don't have on the computer, but it's on my iPad that I think is worth checking out. It's called TBEQ Pro, I believe, from Tone Boosters. And this would actually be a great recommendation if you don't feel like investing within FabFilter, but this has actually more features than what FabFilter offers aside from the spectral filtering. It's just that it's cheaper and not as well known, but they actually have more filter options. They've got a scaling feature on here that works really well. One thing that I miss from both of these is being able to shift everything together, because unfortunately there's not any type of like knob that you can shift everything with, which is part of the reason why I use the EQ Plus. Or sorry, yeah, that's what I meant to say. Instead of the EQ 8, we're not on Ableton. But yeah, there's this little thing in here that you can do something like this, say for filtering or whatever, to where you can shift everything. That's the one thing that's missing from both of these. But when it comes into mixing, this is what I prefer to use. And finally, the last thing is actually Diss2 Culture from Arturia. This is a Culture Vulture remake. It's a little more, what would I say? I think Decapitator has a weird phase offset thing, but it sounds just as good. This, on the other hand, is just a little bit easier to use as a means of not having to work or worry about that phase shifting, but also having some features down below that you can do your filtering with. You've got some input controls. You can also set this to either gate or to compress, so that'll actually leave the tails or try to shorten the tails if you have any. You've got some post stuff like high shells or high pass, low pass, and a tilt EQ that you can utilize. And then you've got 4 options as opposed to, I think, 5 on Decapitator. But if you catch either of them on sale, I'd highly recommend it. I don't really use this on anything outside of drums, but I use this on every drum that I make. I even have this rack that Cage showed me a long time ago, where you can send a kick and a crash into this and bust them together and then slowly introduce the volume and pair it up with the kick. It creates a huge impact with when it's paired with the kick in itself. And it sounds awesome, and that's just something that is always on my template. Other than that, those are my top 5 plugins. I don't have any affiliate links or anything to sell you. These are just things that I use personally, and whether or not you buy them for yourselves has no impact on any monetary stuff for me. However, I will say that if you're looking for expansions for this, Beam has some expansions for presets that I was paid to make that I've already received payment for that or whatever. So if you're interested in that, you can check those out. But I do make a lot of content for Phaseplant that you can check on my website at alckemy.com. Anyways, that's pretty much it. Enjoy, and let me know if you have any questions on plugins. I've probably seen or tried the majority of them. Phaseplant can't be beat. It's the best thing ever. Like, I've been saying that since 2019. Anyways, subscribe to the channel. Thank you, and I'll catch you later.